On the average of every 58 hours, a police law enforcement officer dies in the line of duty. Since the first known line of duty death in 1791, more than 20,000 U.S. law enforcement officers have made the ultimate sacrifice.
My name is Joe Johnson. I'm retired from the New York City Police Department. The purpose of this documentary is to enlighten the public about the alarming fact that on the average of every 58 hours, somewhere in this country, a police or law enforcement officer dies in the line of duty. Our first reenactment is about Police Officer Thomas Rotolo of the 41st Precinct in the Bronx. On February 14, 1984, Tommy was shot and killed by a recently released parolee, George Augusto.
It was Valentine's Day, 1984. Police officers Thomas Rotolo and Tanya Braithwaite were working a 4 to 12 shift in the 41st Precinct. At about 6:20 p.m., a report of a robbery of a moped at gunpoint had occurred. What happened next would change the lives of numerous people and families forever. Rotolo yelled a challenge to the suspect. Without any warning, the suspect wheeled around with a gun in his hand and fired a shot that struck Rotolo just over the left center eyebrow, killing him instantly. As that first shot was fired, Braithwaite drew her gun and yelled, "Tommy, gun!" But it was too late. Rotolo was dead before he hit the ground. Braithwaite and the killer now engaged in a fierce gun battle. She turned to run around the back of the vehicle to get to Rotolo, and as she did, the killer hit his target again. Braithwaite was struck in the rear upper torso. As this was happening, some 20 feet away, off-duty 40th Precinct police officer Hippolito Padilla heard the exchange of gunfire. He turned to see the killer shooting at the cops. Padilla dropped the handset, pulled his own gun, and screamed at the killer to drop his gun. The killer, hearing Padilla's order to drop his gun, turned his attention towards him and fired. In the exchange of gunfire between the killer, George Augusto, and Hippolito Padilla, both were shot. Augusto, bleeding from his gunshot wound, limped away into the darkness.
I've always wanted to be in law enforcement just to help people. It's not always about taking people to jail.
At funerals, you realize that we are all human beings, and unfortunately, people don't see that side of us. They think we're just statues with no feelings at all.
Officers go out every day, and they don't know when they're coming home. This is a perfect example, playing Officer Rotolo. Valentine's Day, has a wife at home, 3 years on the force, and there, one call, and it's his last call ever. And it affects everybody around him. I mean, his wife, partners on the force, family, friends, just everybody, so.
13 over division, regards to shots fired.